Hi everyone, thanks for clicking on this video and welcome to my channel. This is Stories of Israel. I call myself Dutch Israeli. I tell the stories of the victims of October 7 to the best of my ability. The true crime community is silent about this, so I feel the need to speak up about what happened to us. But the stories didn't begin or end on October 7. New ones are being created every day. On this Sunday, I went to a funeral. It was the funeral of a 21-year-old soldier. His name is Eli Garfinkel. He is the son of our friend and neighbor, Shirley. He served in the West Bank and he was shot dead in a sniper attack on Friday, March 22. He wasn't killed in battle. This was a terror attack. It's hard to describe just how agonizing this funeral was. The screams and cries of his mother are still ringing in my ears. I have 3 young sons myself, and the idea of losing one of them is the worst thing I could ever imagine. For a few moments during that funeral, I experienced the agony of Eli's mother. It was like staring into an abyss. I will tell Eli's story one day, but now it is still too new and too painful. I haven't spoken to Shirley yet, but we have heard her speak in an interview on the radio. She sounded so strong and full of hope, but I have heard her cry, and I know how much she suffers inside. And with her, Eli's father, his siblings, his girlfriend, and all his many friends. They need time and space to grieve before Eli becomes one more true crime story. So, I decided that today I will tell you another story that touched me personally. This happened 8 years ago, almost to the day, on March 19, 2016. October 7 was not the first terror crime against Jews. It might have been the worst since the Holocaust, but it wasn't the first by far. Terrorism directed at Jews and Israelis has been happening for many years. So this time I want to tell the story of someone I knew personally, someone who was murdered in another terror attack for no reason at all, except that he was Jewish. That person is Yoni Suher. I know his family well. They live in my kibbutz, and I have known them for more than 23 years. Yoni was the oldest of 5 children. His father is an American Jew who immigrated to Israel, married an Israeli woman, and settled down in her kibbutz. All their children have American citizenship. In fact, Yoni was born in Portland, Oregon. Yoni's father is a beloved member of our kibbutz, an English teacher and someone who went above and beyond to make our kibbutz a wonderful place to live. The entire family is very active in sports, and 3 of the brothers, including Yoni, played handball on a national level. My husband is the same age as Yoni Suher, and they grew up together. I didn't know him well as he left the kibbutz before I came. But I know that Yoni was a friendly and outgoing person, like his whole family. Someone who drew attention to him, who wasn't afraid to take up space, to voice his opinions and to take action. He was a very active person who played sports and worked hard. An intelligent guy who spent his army days in the military police, who studied law and worked in high-tech. Someone well-liked, with a lot of friends who loved partying and traveling. Yoni married Inbal Marom, a well-known television producer who produced some very popular TV shows, talent shows like Kochav Nolad, the Israeli version of American Idol. They lived in Tel Aviv and had 2 children together. They both loved traveling and food, so for Yoni's 40th birthday, Inbal surprised him with a culinary trip to Istanbul, Turkey. It was an organized group tour from Israel. They were excited to go for a rare holiday together without the children. On March 19, 2016, the group was walking along Istiklal Street in Istanbul, talking and laughing, stopping to admire shop windows and restaurants. They also took a group photo. In this photo, Inbal is the second woman from the right, in the back. Yoni is standing next to her. His head is turned away from the camera. That same morning, a Turkish man by the name of Mehmet Öztürk arrived in Istanbul by bus and walked through the city until he got to Istiklal Street. Under his coat, the man wore a bomb belt. He slowly walked along the street, scanning the crowd, waiting for the right moment. When he passed the group of Israeli tourists on the street, he knew he had found his victims. Moments later, a deafening explosion rang through the city. Yoni Suher was killed instantly by the blast, together with 2 other Israeli tourists and an Iranian. Their names were Simcha Dimri, Avram Goldman, and Ali Razemka. Inbal was seriously injured, along with 36 others who were of Israeli, Turkish, and European nationalities. The shockwaves of that explosion reached over the entire world. Our kibbutz was shaken to its core. Yoni's family was heartbroken. His 2 young children had lost their father, and their mother was in hospital fighting for her life. Yoni's funeral was incredibly painful. It was the first time I realized what murder really means and the damage it does, not only to the victim, but to their family, their friends, their entire community. It was also the first time that I realized what it really means to be Israeli or Jewish. It means always looking over your shoulder, hiding your identity, and making sure not to speak your language in public. It means watching where you walk and not telling people where you're from because you're afraid of their reaction. And because I married an Israeli, this is now my reality too. 8 years have passed since Yoni's murder. Fortunately, Inbal recovered physically and is back at work, back at being a mother. Whenever I ask the family how they're doing, they say that they're okay. But I know something was broken in them that will never heal. Still, life goes on. Grandchildren were born, relationships were formed, milestones were reached. The family grows older. But Yoni will forever be 40 years old. At the funeral of Eliel, I thought of Yoni. 2 terror victims, 8 years apart. None of this should ever have happened. This is what radical Islam contributes to the world. Pain, fear, death, and suffering. Why are we not standing against this evil as one? Why is the Western world not united against this threat? It starts with us, Israelis and Jews, but it doesn't end with us. The entire Western world is at risk. And if Israel doesn't succeed in eliminating Hamas, if Europe and the USA and all the world insist on protecting terrorists, in the end, all of us will pay the price.